Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for Mr. Chairman giving time to deliver my presentation. Exactly my research exactly. So, good morning, everyone, all the participants coming from all over the world. Hopefully, it's gonna be meaningful, useful, and beneficial for other people around the world. So, my name is Justiawan. I'm from Madrasah Muallimaat Muhammadiyah, Yogyakarta, Indonesia, as a teacher. So, I would like to present my presentation about Islamic perspective in teaching procedure text. Yeah. So hopefully it can is something useful for reference or for our teaching, especially for Islamic educational institution. Yeah, because my method is about Islamic perspective in teaching procedure text. Okay, so we begin with the first slide, please. The next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, good. So I want to begin with introduction first over here. So previous slide.
Mundur.
Yeah, previous. Mundur.
Slide sebelumnya.
Okay, this one. Wait. Okay. So while talking about this, I just want to begin with the education exactly first before we doing something else, because I want to talk about my background of why I choose this kind of title of my research. Co-host, can you help me out? Okay, the education, I just want to tell you a little bit more about education. Education is one of important thing in our life, one of important element in our life, because through education, someone or people can develop their knowledge, attitude, skill, or anything, even as an effort of cultural heritage. So that's the thing. So the second point is this: Indonesian. We're talking about the curriculum Indonesian is curriculum 2013. Yeah, curriculum 2013. The development of curriculum 2013 is a further step that the development of the competency-based curriculum that was initiated in 2004, and unit level curriculum that was initiated in 2006. So it's that integrated between knowledge, skill, and attitude that's happened as a integrated form. So curriculum 2030 that apply in Indonesia is designed to meet the need of the society in this era. It means that include social, moral, religious moral, and knowledge, skill, or anything as integrated form. So it's not only to form or to make a student. It's not only for academic purposes, but also for the attitude or moral. That's the main point of curriculum 2013 in Indonesia. But after that, the curriculum 2013 should be customized, should be adapted to the local wisdom. What I mean by local wisdom means local wisdom means that it means we have to apply based on the local area, included the local policy, local knowledge, and local intelligence. Utari said in, please, you can make it smaller. Utari said that local wisdom is intellectual through local wealth in the term of knowledge, norm, custom, and culture, insight, on which are heritage. Sorry, before that, sebelum itu, masih slide yang pertama. Please, okay. So maintains identity and the guidance and things you appropriate in life. So that's the thing. Sorry for inconvenience. So that's the local wisdom as identity, as the matter of the thing, the curriculum should be implemented in based on the local policy, local area. So Muallimaat school in the place that I teach right now, an Islamic educational institution that always doing the Islamic practices in daily basis. You know that? the school always send other students. It means send many students to go around the world, like Malaysia, China, Taiwan. So they should master English. They should master Islamic practices, Islamic perspective that should master by the student, because Muallimaat school is the Islamic educational institution for female. So in this matter, I just want to take as Islamic perspective and that I teach in Project Tech. Islamic perspective, it means that all the things that I do should be related to Islamic matters. Like that is based on the Al-Quran and Hadith. That's the most important thing in every daily basis that we have to use in for a teacher and for learner. And I apply in the positive text. That means that we have to deliver some kind of information about how to do something, but we have to relate with the Islamic perspective, like how to do tayammum, how to perform as a prayer, how to take ritual ablution, how to do something like that, so the student can deliver Islamic, so student so the student can deliver their preaches for Islamic missionary, for da'wah, go to around the world using that kind of theme of study. So the next, please. The next slide, please. The next slide, please. Okay, so here is the step of learning that I applied in my teaching process. You know, the differences between the procedure for an ordinary just come in, but and then I use in an Islamic perspective is here, that the material when we teach in a common ordinary procedure, it's like how to make an instant noodle, how to turn off the electrical, how to turn off the television, or so on and so on, or something like that. But when we do the Islamic perspective, we're doing that Islamic manner, like how to perform tayammum, how to perform ablution, how to do subuh prayer, and so on and so on. And the activity, the differences is common activity, and the vocabulary that should the student do is about the Islamic practices. Yeah. So in common procedure that the teacher always teach is no moral value in every step, but I use the moral value that Islamic perspective, that Islamic teaching, that we always use it in that teaching process. So there's a thing, yeah. There's a Islamic moral value in every step of Islamic practices in our teaching process. Okay, the next thing is the next slide, please. Okay, wait. Okay, so there's the differences between. So we're talking about the student activity here. I just wanna give you some pictures about the student activity that we apply in my teaching and learning process. Please go on. The next slide. The next slide, please. Okay, here it is. Okay, this is a student are doing discussion, doing a learning new word, doing presentation. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, here doing presentation. Yeah, exactly. Okay, here they're playing games during a presentation, doing a project or something like that. They're doing a writing and speaking. But the important matter is about they can get knowledge or get deeper understanding about Islam. Okay, next slide, please. I just want to give you the example of the result of the student project. Please, next slide, please. Okay, next slide. Go on. Next slide. Okay, this is the result. Next slide. Okay, this one is the student. Okay. Okay, there's the result of the student. Next slide, please. Okay, that's the next slide, please. Okay, there's how to bathe dead body, how to shroud the dead body. Yeah. Okay, good. How to eat with the prayer, how to eat other prayer. Please, next slide, please. Okay, next slide. Okay, here's the students' project. Next slide, please. Okay, next slide. How to perform wudu, how to Isha prayer. The next one to be, okay, the last project is here. It means that I want to give you an example about this. Okay, the last one is about this. Okay, good. So its conclusion about my research that the effective to improve the student skill of the writing, they try to write something about procedural text, yeah, and speaking. Student is easy to speak with their ability to make it some kind of that already know about the knowledge that already have in our mind. So the second conclusion is about the knowledge and understanding of Islam deeper. That is the most important that I take it with local wisdom. That Muallimaat school is Islamic educational. It means that students should understand well about Islam deeper and deeper. Even that we have to rely on Al Quran and Hadith. That's the most important thing because the student always going abroad to tell to everyone about the Islam as a dakwah or Islam missionary. So the last slide is reference. So reference of my Kedarusat. So last slide, please. Next slide. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for my presentation. I hope it's going to be very useful and very beneficial for other people around the world. Thank you very much. And please forgive me for any mistake that I've done. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Chairman, Mr. Andi Agus Salim, for the time given to me. Hello, good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are. First, I want to introduce myself. I'm Ihma Rizwanda from Madrasah Muallimaat Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. I'm a mathematics teacher in senior high school. Today, I will deliver my presentation or sharing about my experience in teaching and learning. All right, my presentation entitled Teaching Students How to Find Absolute Value Graph through Worksheet. Teaching mathematics material that includes graphics is a challenge in itself. Why do I say that? Because this is an important step that must be delivered well to students, so that they have a clear interpretation of the overall material that has been studied. Mathematics is called an abstract science because objects or symbols in mathematics do not exist in real life. For example, have you ever seen the square or the circle in real life? That will never happen, I guess. We can only see or give an interpretation through things that have a same shape or another description of a square or another plane feature. Mathematics is different with chemistry or biology or physics. All of the things in their lesson is real and we can feel it. As an evidence, we can see live cells by microscope in biology, or we know things that contain acids and base in chemistry and etc. But in mathematics, the mathematics teacher have to put more effort in building student interpretation of the material. One of the material is absolute value. And I concern how to draw the absolute value graph. This material for 10th graders or class 1 of senior high school. To teach this material, I ask students to find out the graph for themselves with the direction from my worksheet that I made. This activity will done in group. Okay, can you move to the next slide? Yeah, okay. Let's start by talking about why do I use this worksheet to teaching an absolute value graph and why it could be done in group. The first is limited knowledge. My students only have knowledge of drawing graph by substituting all numbers, especially integers, into an equation. In their previous study, they just know about draw a graph by substitute the x number to equation to find the y number, and it will be a point, and then they have to connect by drawing a line between points. And after that, they will find the graph. On the worksheet that I use, directing students to draw graph by connecting the absolute value definition material with the line equation material. Second reason is this activity could be increased social relationship skills students. Worksheets are done in groups This can fostering a spirit of social skills. And moreover, the student could be increased a leadership skills. How do students manage when working in groups, three until four students each, is also able to increase leadership skills. It will be a student who driving the way to complete the worksheet, starting from discussion about how to complete and dividing roles. For example, the good one at drawing, she will draw the graph in the last step maybe. And for your information, social relationship, social relationship and leadership skill is including 5 basic competencies that must be possessed by Muallimaat Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta student. Okay, next to the third slide. I will share you about the content of my worksheet. First is definition of absolute value. In the first step, students are asked to write down two-line equations that can be formed through the definition of absolute value. And then students are asked to find the intersection point of the two lines on the x-axis and y-axis by equalize the two lines. And the third, after students have an intersection point, next step is students draw lines on a Cartesian diagram. And students have to erase the line below the intersection point. And the last, after students find out the way how to draw an absolute value graph, teacher gives one question for exercise, another absolute value equation definitely. Exercises are done individually so that teacher can see students understand or not yet. Okay, next slide. Now we are going to talk about the result from the activity that students find out the absolute value graph. First, students gain new knowledge in drawing more structure about absolute value graph. And second, students feel satisfied because they have succeed in drawing graph, which they found by themselves. Okay, the last slide. That's all from me. In summary, I want to say that give the best experience for students is one of the characteristics of the good teacher. So we as a teacher don't never give up no matter what. Even the world always gives us changing situation. Change maybe have a rough at beginning. It can be messy in the middle, but it will be a beautiful in the end. That's all from me. Forgive me if I made a mistake, and thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say my name is Thanaphum Phumchak. I come from State Samut Prakan School. I'm teaching in economics. Today, I would like to say exchange with you economic instructional model integrated with principle of Arya Makka. Arya Makka is the principle of Buddhism, the way of life in Thailand. Next slide, please. Okay. Principle. The economic instruction integrated with the principle of Arya Makka together with constructivism theory and the concept of Buddhist economics. Based on Buddhist economics, Schumacher, he wrote a small is beautiful. Objective to enhance student characteristics based on Buddhist economics. I to synthesis about economics and teaching and economic teaching. The principle of Arya Makka, constructivism theory, the concept of Buddhist economics for student characteristics based on Buddhist economics. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. Next slide, please. This the model economic instructional model integrated with the principle of Untitled. In the circle, student characteristics based on Buddhist economics. The next circle, first step, light speech. Step 2, light action. Step 3, livelihood. And the step integrated component of Untitled are 8 parts, like understanding, like thought, like speed, like action, like concentration, like mindful, like effort, and like livelihood. And integrated the next circle, the concept of Buddhist economics. Next slide, please. Okay, teaching and learning process. First step, light speed. Consider economic factors. Students revise their knowledge by filling economic with knowledgeable discussion, live view, or right understanding, and correct opinion, right thought, using relational principle and perseverance to obtain an answer by being fairly to each other like speech. In negotiation, exchange learning, intention, right concentration, and remembering the cause and factors, the lines according to the issue of economics, right mindfulness. Next slide, please. Step 2, right action. 1. Analyze student knowledge of economics by way of information search and correction. Right action. To analyze economic knowledge and its maximum benefits per study. Right thought. Which proper knowledge and understanding. Right understanding or right will. By remembering to proper way of conducting according the principle like mindfulness. To organize knowledge of economic. Students systematically organize their knowledge of economic right action and set their mind to be sure to continue thinking about economic issue right concentration by using perseverance right effort. Okay, next step. Okay. Step 3, drive livelihood. Apply to economic concept. Students apply the knowledge of economic in accordance with their status as a student livelihood and have a good attitude towards next social contract. Life thought with the recorrection to build knowledge, right mindfulness, and endeavor to present the knowledge of economic life affairs. Next slide, please. For example, topic finance, grade 11. Objective, expand the government's law concern financial and local policy in national economic development. The concept monetary policy is an important tool in the economic development of the country, and that require efficient resource allocation, create economic growth and economic stability for the well-being of Thailand. For example, step 1, students study the abstract for research and discuss the topic meaning of financials, the importance of financials, duty of financial, value of financials, and student analyze knowledge. Next slide. And step 2, right action. Right action divide the student into 6 groups. Students search information from textbooks to the worksheet finance. Then students do activity cause and effect activity to analyze finance and solve problems with monetary policy and discuss topic financial and monetary policy, deflation, inflation. Step 2, next slide. And student exchange ความรู้ knowledge exchange knowledge of economics. Next slide. Step 3, student presentation of way of monetary policy in 2021 and 2022. Factor affection. Next slide, please. Next slide. Factor affecting teaching and learning. Social system. Student and teacher interact a friendly manner within a teacher encourage student learning with a focus on develop their desire as well as encourage student to have good behavior, responsiveness. Students have adapt skill and ability to work with other processes as skill as managing social contact, thinking, and linking relationship or relational action by investigation the cross upon which the teacher give feedback in order to organize that knowledge system and make the most of what has been studied. Support system. The teacher will create a physical environment in the classroom. Next slide, please. And last, for student characteristics based on Buddhist economic knowledge, microeconomics, macroeconomics to perception, skill, teamwork, and moderate practice, a part. Attitude, side, and puppy mind. Thank you for attention.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rita Sipet from World Class Standard School and Science and Technology Section, Sri Supakan School. I'm really glad to join this seminar today, and now I would like to present the project in the topic of development of interactive instructional multimedia to facilitate remote instruction for the independent study course. Okay, next please. First of all, I would like to introduce you about independent study course. Next please. Okay. Firstly, let me show you what you see in this picture. Sure, you can see something like machines together work with humans and variety of nationalities. This picture shows idea of working in the future and how it is important. Next, please. Okay. Nowadays, as you know, most of the business are represented by the machine, as you can see in those pictures, and the competitive employment from free flow of the skilled migrant workers are increasing continuously. Next, please. This means workers in the future need advanced skills beyond machines and also need collaborative and technological using skills. So, Thailand adapted way of education management to develop students by using the world-class standard schools project. Next, please. Our world-class standard school project aims to develop students through academic excellence, communication on with two languages, advanced thinking, producing work creatively, and finally, less responsibility for global society. This conforms to 21st century skills. Next, please. Okay. In order to fulfill this characteristic, World Partner School set a course called Independent Study or IS, which consists of 3 continuous courses, including IS1, Research and Knowledge Formation. This will help students learn and practice how to solve the problem by searching information and scientific methods. Then IS2, Communication and Presentation, will help students learn to communicate by writing and presenting. And IS3 is Social Service Activity. This step will help students to have project mind and learn to serve by utilizing knowledge for surrounding society. Next, please. Not only learning IS course, we're using active learning strategy, but in pandemic affected by COVID-19 pandemic in the latest semester course, all teaching is undertaken remotely. So we implement projects to develop online instruction for independent study course by using active learning strategy through interactive instructional multimedia. Next, please. In our project, we aim to create interactive multimedia and learning activity to study the learning outcomes and also to measure satisfaction level of students after using media and learning activity during online independent study teaching. And in the part of project procedure is including planning, designing, development, and evaluation and reward. Next, please. In the interactive multimedia and activities production, we design and create media corresponding to behavioral objectives. And these are the designing process and picture during media production. Next, please. Okay. Then in the interactive multimedia production, each media contains 5 parts, including introduction, objectives, and content, group activity, sharing ideas, classroom discussion, and then conclusion. And every media created by using OBS Studio, Sony Vegas, and also VLLO application. Next, please. In the part of interactive multimedia applying, we mostly use platform namely Google Meet, Google Classroom, Google Site, and also Line. Okay, next, please. Furthermore, we have 3 instructors for IS course management. First, classroom teacher, who manage the classroom. Second, lecturer, who explain and represent in the media, and the last, specialist teacher, who are the student advice for their independent study project. Okay. Next, please run the example of media. Media clip. Okay, I already sent to Twitter email.
Sorry for Mr. Farita. Can you speak a bit louder or the microphone a bit closer?
Do you have?
The way your time still have you still have another 2 minutes.
Okay. Actually, I would like I have to talk that actually I have the clip that show the example of the media that we created, but maybe it's maybe take a time to if you download from the internet again. So maybe okay.
you can next the slide. Maybe skip this part. Okay. Are you listening me? Do you hear me?
Okay, it's a bit clear.
Sorry, mister. Do you hear me now?
Yeah, we are here.
Please open the PowerPoint again.
Sorry.
Okay, 1 minute left. Okay, just jump to the conclusion.
Okay. Please go to the result of objective 1. Yeah. This next, okay, this slide. So from the objective 1, the result that we got the 9 media based on 9 learning outcomes. Next, please. Next, please. Okay, and this is the worksheet and infographic and Google site we generate. Next, please. Next, please. Okay, and please go to the conclusion, please. Next, please. Okay, next, please. Okay, so we have got 9 video clips, and this it show me that the student can got an achievement. Student achievement increase, and all the media can promote the student to ready for the next future, as we call society 5.0. Okay, thank you for all cooperation and thank you for your attention.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Amun Sundari. I'm from Muhammadiyah University of Yogyakarta, Indonesia. I want to present my research entitled Indonesian EFL Student Experiences in a Flipped Classroom. Okay, next slide, please. I have some outline for my presentation. They are background, literature review, methodology, findings, and conclusion. Next, please. Okay, for the background, flipped classroom is one part of blended learning. Blended learning is a mixed method between face-to-face learning process and online learning. Blended learning have some categories, namely station rotation model, lab rotation model, flipped classroom model, and individual rotation model. I am interested with flipped classroom model because one of my lecture have implemented flipped classroom model in my classroom. And according to Gwenamos, flipped classroom is the process of moving lecture content from face-to-face class time to before class by assigning it as homework. So the teacher give the material to student before entering the class. And based on my own observation, not all the lecture use flipped classroom model as learning process. Next, please. And then for the definition and the purpose of my research, according to Bishop and Verleger, flipped classroom is an educational model that was created to combine two different learning models. They are interactive in class activities and giving individual online instruction. Also, Rochelle, Reddy, and Shannon also state that flipped classroom is a learning model that give content of the study as a homework. As I say before, flipped classroom is a learning process that give material to students before entering the class. So in the class, they only mastery the material with their teacher. And then the purpose of my research are to find out the benefit and the difficulties of the implementation of the classroom as perceived by students. Next, please. Okay, flipped classroom have three characteristics. They are pre-class learning, in-class active learning, and assessment. For pre-class learning, teacher should be selection or organization pre-class content as a material for their student. And then teacher also pay attention for the time that required to complete the material. Also, teacher can be pay attention for student access to pre-class resources as a material. For in-class active learning, flipped classroom can expanding opportunities for engagement between student to student and student to teacher. And then also flipped classroom give opportunities to practice, and in class active learning, they can assess mastery during the class. And then the last characteristic is assessment. The purpose of assessment is teacher can find out how far the student has mastered the material. Next, please. Okay, a flipped classroom have benefits and difficulties for learning process. For benefits, in pre-class, student can access videos material wherever they are, and then student can control for the time and learning style in their own. Also, student can be present and not present in the class. They can still also load the material, and then student also and teacher cannot maybe not entering the class. And then in the class, the benefits are student feel more confident, student more active and participate in classroom, student do problem solving, and then the time that used is more efficient. But besides the benefits, there are some difficulties. In pre-class, students always do homework and it must prepare before entering the class. And then they can delay the work, and then student maybe not bored with the video material with long duration. And in class, student need a clear interaction on how to work productivity in groups, and student may not collaborate well. Next, please. For the methodology, I use qualitative and descriptive. And for the setting, I use place English Language Education Department in private university in Indonesia, and English Language Education Department student as my participant. And for the data collection method, I use interview session, field note, and interview guideline to gather that. And for the data analysis, I do transcribe, member checking, coding, and summarizing the findings. Next, please. After I done my research in real, I found some benefits and difficulties that my participant felt. For the benefits are enabling flexibility in learning. Something that they feel flexibility are learning style, time and place, and assessing material. And then flipped classroom also can facilitating discussion for them. And flipped classroom can be increase the student readiness for learning. But the difficulties are in effective collaboration between student, and the duration of video material that long are disliked, and then lack of explanation from the lecture. Also, internet connection problem in different student areas. Next, please. Okay, in conclusion, flipped classroom can be used as one of the new learning models that are implemented. Flipped classroom is also an effective learning model when viewed from the side of benefits. Apart from being effective, the flipped classroom also has several benefits, including enabling flexibility in learning, facilitating discussion, and increasing the student readiness. However, in addition to the benefits, the flipped classroom also has several difficulties faced by students, including ineffective collaboration, the duration of video material, lack of explanation from the lecture, and internet connection problem, and also procrastination. Okay, that's all from me. Sorry when I have a mistakes. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, good afternoon. I would like to thank you for your attending in my presentation today. I'm Putri Anggia Wahyudianawati. I'm an alumnus of English Language Education Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. And here I will present my paper research about the characteristics of effective English teacher for millennials. Okay, this study focuses on investigating for core categories on how to be an effective English language teacher in millennial era. And this presentation, next slide please. This presentation is divided into several parts. The first part is the introduction. The second one is the literature review of the study. And the third is the methodology, how the researcher get the data. And the fourth is finding and discussion. And the last is the conclusion. Okay, let's move to the first session, the introduction. Okay, there are several things about millennial generation. Millennial generation is a term for people who grow in millennial era. As we know, millennial era is a digital native for millennial generation, and millennial generation has some personal characteristics which are unique and different from their previous generation, such as millennial generation is digital literate and etc. And the next is millennial era, of course, brings some effects on how the process of teaching and learning is conducted at the school. Okay, next slide. And the literature review of the study. The first is about millennial generation. According to Olszewski 2016, millennial generation refers to people who were born in the early 1980 to the early 2000. And characteristics of millennial generation is different from the other or previous generation. Millennial generation known as independent generation, well-educated, confident, upbeat or optimistic, open-minded, sociable, technically literate, adverse to slowness, and highly informed. It's based on Bertrand et al. 2007. And the next is an effective English teacher. According to Dinstar et al. 2013, there are four main characteristics of an effective English language teacher. The first is about social effective skills. The second is pedagogical knowledge, subject matter knowledge, and personality characteristics. And the next slide. And teaching millennial generation. As we know, because millennial generation is generation that they are really close to technology, so we should apply learning media for today's students is technology. And ELT for millennial generation is a teacher who can develop content, pedagogy, and technology strategies at the same time. Okay, next. Okay, the methodology in gathering the data in the study is using qualitative approach and descriptive qualitative design. And next. And for the research setting, it conducted at a private university in Yogyakarta. And for the participants of the study were ALET students bachelor 2016. Okay, next. Okay, and in gathering the data, the researcher conduct the in-depth interview, open-ended items, unstructured response, and interview guideline to get in-depth answer from the participants. Okay, next. Okay, and the finding of this study is the first about socio-affective skill. What is socio-affective skill? Socio-affective skill is about the ability of the teachers to interact with the students to gain effectiveness in the educational process. There are three of socio-affective skills. The first is enhancing students' motivation. creating a good classroom atmosphere, having good relations with the students and other teachers. So, based on the finding here, in the socio-affective skill, the teacher should be able to enhance students' motivation to learn in the classroom and creating good classroom atmosphere to create fun and effective learning and have good relation with the student and other teachers, because if the teacher have good relations with the students, it can make the students easy to follow the class activity. And the next. Okay, the next is the pedagogical knowledge. Pedagogical knowledge is teachers' ability about how they teach in the classroom. The first one is the teachers are allowed to giving the feedback to the students, having an excellent ability to explain the lesson, answering the students' understanding of the lesson. It's good if the teachers give or deliver the lesson more than once. And the next is having the lesson plan. Before we teach the students, we should prepare the lesson plan well. And the next is utilizing and applying technology in teaching and learning process to create or to motivate students in teaching and learning process. And the next is allowing students to write a reflection about the teacher's performance when teach in the classroom. And the next is controlling class activities. And the next, okay. Next is about subject matter knowledge. As we know, as a teacher, we should be knowledgeable and mastering English if we teach the English subject. The third or the last characteristics is the teacher should have good personal character. The first is the teacher should be an intelligent teacher, being caring teacher, friendly teacher, disciplined, creative teacher, kind teacher, patient teacher, humorous, responsible, open-minded, bring the outside the classroom to teaching and learning process, and being professional teacher, where they can be difference between the professional and personal problem. Okay, the next is about the conclusion of the study. An effective English language teacher for millennial generation is supposed to have the several characteristics such as socio-affective skills, pedagogical knowledge, subject matter knowledge, and personality traits. Besides, that should utilize and apply technology in teaching and learning activities in the classroom to enhance students' motivation and learning. Okay, thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, all dear honorable fellow quiz presenter, organizer, and participants. To start off, my name is Sani Anggraini. I am currently studying at Pemalang College of Education Science Indonesia, or also College Sekolah Tinggi Ilmu Tarbiyah STIT Pemalang, majoring in Islamic Education Management. It shall be noted that I feel very honored to be chosen to present at this prestigious international conference and represent our college. For that, I like to thank to the organizer, especially Madrasah Muallimaat Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, for the opportunity. At this conference, I will present my study title, Utilizing Digital Tools in Creating Impactful Anti-Corruption Education. Next slide, please. First of all, introduce part of my study and background, teaching and learning activities at the Pemalang College of Education Science, STIT Pemalang, for anti-corruption education using anti-corruption campaign. Activities on social media and application that can master, Canva, Instagram Reels, and poster. Motivation. Number one, no one has research to and importance to the evaluating the action. Number three, to know the impact of using digital tools. Definition of concept: anti-corruption education is an action to control and reduce corruption in the form of an overall effort to encourage future generations to develop a firm rejection attitude towards every form of corruption. Digital tools anti-corruption campaign prevention of corruption is an effort to introduce anti-corruption values to the public. Presentation structure. After this slide, I will explain the result and discussion of my result. Then I will conclude and over them recommended for education. Next slide, please. Secondly, I am going to explain about the results of my study. Result and discussion. Result code number 1, to know whether there is an added digital skill after student complete their anti-corruption campaign and social media digital skill. Number 2, to understand whether the student gained a better understanding and the learning materials understanding. Number 3, to study whether students increases their awareness on the anti-corruption efforts and campaign awareness. Next slide, please. The following is a diagram of the result of student research at STIT Pemalang. The use of social media for anti-corruption campaign increases the skills of students in operating social media application, and this skill proficiency diagram many agree and have a total of 78%. And those who have not been able to edit video or make poster, no student can with the encouragement of their skill. Next slide, please. Now, ending. When the slide of understanding the anti-corruption campaign for anti-corruption prevention on social media, many students agree and have a 9% diagram. So the campaign carried out by the student of STIT Pemalang was successful. Next slide, please. Number 3, awareness of the importance of promoting anti-corruption campaign for students, so that many agree and get the number 93 on the research chart. Next slide. Example social media campaign using Instagram video reels. Can you please play the video? Okay, next slide, please. Example social media campaign using poster. and this in one of the anti-corruption campaign of my classmate who has 1,000 likes and on the Instagram application. Next slide. Next slide, please. And next slide. Next slide. Lastly, I am going to consider that conclusion. The use of digital tools in anti-corruption education campaign is very effective. Therefore, the incorporation of digital tools in anti-corruption education courses is highly recommended. Thanks all for me. Thank you very much for your attention. I appreciate if you have any question for me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.